All right, hello. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? What is it, 9:06 a.m. on the East Coast? Yeah, we got a little baseball, 9-game slate on Draftkings. I'm sure FanDuel something like that, up until the 2 o'clock games. Yeah, should be fun. As you guys know, I'm still doing NBA. The NBA video is out. I'm actually prioritizing NBA, which, like, really logistically probably doesn't make a ton of sense, but for me it does. NBA prize pools have been slashed in half during the week. Right now on the weekends, the top prize pools today I think are like only $25,000, which sucks if you actually knock down a tournament. Nice to have 25 grand, but in recent weeks you would have had 100 grand or 50 grand. So that stinks. But I just personally like NBA a little bit more, just enjoy the sport more to watch it. And really baseball, if I'm playing Mlb Dfs, I'm not watching any of the games. Like, I'll watch the Yankees because I'm a Yankee fan. Maybe I'll watch some other entertaining players or pitchers, but I'm not watching the games like I do for the NBA. So I'll be focusing on the NBA. It's just what I want to do personally, where I see my enjoyment. But once the season's over in 10 days, I'll still have some playoff content, but I'll be transitioning fully to baseball. I'll be doing more individualized, specific baseball. Right now, we're live streaming. I have the chat up on my phone. So if you're watching this on the replay, just know that this was a live stream. So the format might be different than some of my normal videos with the intro and things like that. But I'll be getting much more specific in terms of hitters and things like that, instead of just talking about stacks and pitchers, which I think is really where you should be focusing, just at a higher level. But I'll get more into hitters, one-offs, top of the order type guys, differences in lineups, things like that in about 10 days or so. Once the NBA regular season is done, I can get more in-depth in these videos, because prepping for NBA videos is a bear because of injury news, because of just tracking minutes. Not so much for the MLB. Once that stuff's out of the way, I can focus solely on that and I'll have much more time. But I do want to get these videos out as much as I possibly can. And I just quickly want to check on something here. Cool. So this is just the target offense page, and it's definitely going to change once I have more time to put into it, get things on it, get things off of it, just make it flow a little bit better. If you're in the chat right now and everything sounds and looks good, just please jump in there and say that it does. This target offense sheet can also be found. It will be updated after this video to account for some of these NAs you're seeing, and it will be put on Patreon. So just quickly, these are all the probables for today, right? There's 18 pitchers, 18 teams playing on this 9-game slate. What you have in there right now is exactly those pitchers. You're going to have some NAs pop up if you're actually trying to look at this chart and screenshot it. Trent Thornton has no MLB data. I'm using data from 2018, so Michael Pineda has no 2018 data, or at least not enough qualified data. And the Corbin Burns is similar there. I'm not sure why the rest of his stuff isn't popping. It's probably just a VLOOKUP, different name type thing that I'll change for Patreon. So what I want to do today is I just want to quickly go over this sheet. I want to give you a landscape of what the slate looks like, let you know where you should be looking, let you know where to start. We can go over to DraftKings and look at a little bit more individualized, but it'll probably be just a quick gunner, quick shot, 15-minute stream. I'll take questions at the end, either in NBA or MLB, whichever you guys prefer, and girls. So starting with the Yankees. The Yankees are by far going to be one of the most targeted teams all season long. You're already seeing that in the first 2 games. I am a Yankees fan, and I damn well know that this team will go for 10 runs like they did in the first game, or they will strike out a bunch and go for no runs like they did in the last game and get shut down by a minor league team in what is the Baltimore Orioles. So today, they have a 5.6 team implied total. They're going to be up in the 5s all season long. They'll be one of the highest, if not the highest, implied total team pretty much every single time they're on the slate. Their salaries will shadow that. You're going to have Aaron Judge. You're going to have Giancarlo Stanton, and you're usually going to have to pick between one of them. And I'm sure that some other salaries will get up there too as the season goes on. So the thing here to worry about is the weather. I have a serious concern. There's only one serious concern and a few slight concerns on this entire slate. And the serious concern is the Yankees. During the game, it's a 1 o'clock start. Between 1 and 4, they're going to be seeing over 50%, closer to 60, 65% precipitation the entire time. The thing, though, to note is that right around 4 p.m. and afterwards, it's pretty much fine. So we could see a matter of a 3-inning start and then a 2-hour delay or something like that, where they're fine after, because they're going to see that the weather is fine. So just know that if you are starting a pitcher, which J.A. Happ, salary just indicates, and that's one thing that I will put on here, salary, and maybe that's something that we could add right now, just so I could look for my own reference. So yeah, let's just do this right now. So we'll just quickly show you behind the curtain of the VLOOKUP. Literally every single thing for DFS is just V lookups everywhere. So let's just go. Let's grab these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's like, this is something that I would notice right away if MLB was my sole focus. What are we missing here? J.A. Happ on the pitchers tab. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't know why that's not coming over. I'll figure it out after. So, I mean, J.A. Happ's going to be one of the more expensive pitchers, and he rightfully should be. We just do it like this for now, and then I'll fix it later. And he rightfully should be. I mean, the matchup, the team that he has, just a much better implied win, or the option or the percentage of winning to get his 4-point bonus. But the weather is a factor here. This is very much a game where he can go out there, pitch 3 innings. There's an hour-and-a-half delay, and then the bullpen takes over. So something that I'm staying away from personally. In terms of the hitting, it's by far the most attractive spot, almost by an entire run in terms of implied totals over Toronto here by 0.8 for New York. But again, this weather is very much a concern. If you want to be try and think that you're contrarian by going against it, I probably would say don't. There's a ton of people, especially earlier in the year, that haven't jumped off of MLB yet because they realize that they stink at MLB, that are going to be playing this game because they see, they don't even check the weather. One, they're not really interested in it. They have no idea how impactful it is, but they're just going to see the Yankees. They're going to see, obviously, playing Dylan Bundy in Baltimore. It's a great spot for them. And it's the Yankees and this high-powered team. They're going to stack them 4 or 5, or they're just going to take 2 or 3 players from this game. And again, 65-70% chance of rain throughout the entire game. I'd say that's about the odds that the game just gets postponed or delayed to a point where it impacts a lot of these players. So that's a scary spot. It's the most attractive spot in terms of stacking for the Yankees, but it is the scariest spot. I'd probably stay away from it, look elsewhere. There's a lot of decent implied run totals on this slate, like you'll see. The Toronto and Detroit matchup. Toronto has a great matchup against Matt Moore, one of the worst pitchers last year in daily fantasy, indicated by his price of only $5,700. Toronto's implied for 4.8 runs. This game right now is pretty much a toss-up. They're favored by a half a run, 9-run total. Detroit's implied for 4.3 against Trent Thornton, who has no MLB data to this point. So if you want to pick on the new guy, I'm sure that you can do that, and Detroit is not an awful option to stack with a 4.3 implied run. I don't want to go down through all of this. Sonny Gray starts today at $7,600. That seems a little bit intense in terms of the price point. Not a spot that I'm really going to be trying to get to for Sonny Gray. Not the greatest matchup in the world either. But he does have the nice, at least they're favored by a 0.7 here or so, half a run. So if you do want to try and get him to a quality start, he does have that opportunity for the 4-point bonus. So not going through all of these guys, in terms of just the pitchers that I like, I think my favorite overall pitcher on this entire slate right now is Jon Gray. And just let me make sure that that is correct. If I just go through here, right now my favorite overall pitcher would be Jon Gray, if we're taking salaries into account. If you can get up to a Carlos Carrasco, that would be where I would go as well. Jon Gray, I like the matchup overall. I like the price point that you're saving a little bit off of the Carrascos, off of the 5-figure pitchers. Outside of that, look, the pay-up options are where to go on this slate. Early in the season, it makes sense to try and go and pay down and just get as many good batters in your lineups on smaller slates and maybe not stack as much or do more one-offs with a 4-3-1 type of stack, 4 players from one team, 3 players from another, and then a one-off, especially because earlier in the year we don't have as much data to really back up if a pitcher has changed anything or if we have new pitchers like a Trent Thornton to really rely on. So outside of that, I think the pay-up options are where you want to go. I do like Jon Gray, Carlos Carrasco. J.A. Happ is just extremely scary today in that game. Not really much more that I want to go about. In terms of teams to target, thank you, Mike. We just had a new subscriber. I don't know if you're watching this stream. Welcome to the community. Thank you so much. In terms of games to target, I like Detroit going up against Trent Thornton, and I also like on the flip side in this same game. I never really enjoy game stacking or prioritize it, but if it makes sense, I'll look into it. You have a game here with both teams with at least a 4.3 implied run total. 2 of the highest 5 implied run totals on this slate right now is in this game, and they both have great matchups in terms of pitching, or at least we could say that Detroit has a good matchup, or Toronto has a good matchup against Moore, and we can imply that having a rookie out there against a somewhat veteran team in Detroit, that I do like that as well. Just going through some of the more of the higher totals, you can have Cincinnati with Sonny Gray on the hill at a 4.7. I think that's fine. Anything in the 4s is just up for grabs, right? And pretty much 75% of these games are in the fours. You have a lot more 8.5 to 9 point totals here than the 7 to 7.5s like we've seen on these first two slates. What's going on, Christopher? How you doing? Says K. So yeah, that's just all that I'll talk about for there. I am somebody who likes to stack. I'm not going to get too individualized in terms of hitters right now just because I don't have the time or the due diligence I have not done to actually give you guys great information on an individual hitter basis outside of just their overall team stack ability or at least favorability. Team fields, so I mean, we could just talk about these briefly. These are things that you guys should be factoring in, whether you're making your own projections, whether you're looking at things. Is it a hitter-friendly park or is it a pitcher-friendly park? I believe that, let me just double check this. I did this the other day. Obviously, when you do projections, if it's a hitter-friendly park, it's a bump to the hitter. If it's a hitter-friendly park, that also means that it's a downgrade to the pitcher. So I just want to make sure that I'm pulling from the right stuff here. So Great American Ballpark is at a 1.44. So yeah, this is the hitter friendliness of the park that you're seeing on this target offense sheet. So anything that's a higher number is worse for your pitcher. Anything above 1 is just it means it's better than the league average, that park, for hitters. So you can see Yankee Stadium, short porch, obviously a little bit better for hitters. You can see Great American Ballpark, also a nice park for hitters, and this is kind of taken in by both teams being in the fours. So yeah, you're going to have hitter-friendly parks. Another reason that I do like Jon Gray today, he's in a totally... Let me just look at this quickly. Are they in Miami? Because then that would make sense. I just want to make sure that this game in this spread is in Miami. If the game's in Miami, that makes sense. If it's in Colorado, then it's a complete opposite. These are opposite extremes right now. Yeah, the game's in Miami, so that is why this is a great spot for Gray. Another just absolute great reason. Miami, that park is very pitcher friendly in general. You can see that just based on the number here. You can see that if you watch any Miami game, the way that the stadium is built right now, it is very much a pitcher friendly park. So Jon Gray, like I said, just my favorite right now, even taking into account the pay up options where I like him at $9,400. You can go into it a little bit more. I talked about the weather in that New York game. Everywhere else is pretty much good. Early in the year, the weather that's going to be impactful is just any weather that is cold or obviously precipitation, but there's going to be a lot more cold weather games because it's just not the summer yet. So a slight concern just in Cincinnati and Pittsburgh, the temperatures are going to be in freezing. They're going to touch into the low 30s here. So that's just always a concern for me if I'm making a split decision between games to stack or teams to stack. Not a lot of people are going to take that into account. Colder weather, it does hurt. It hurts fly balls that would be home runs in the summer when it's warm and the balls are just popping off the bat. In the winter, those balls are not going to go as far. There might be some wind as well. The only other slight concern is cold is going to be in this Minnesota-Cleveland game. It's not as cold as we just talked about in the Cincinnati-Pittsburgh game, but it is still cold. So yeah, that is pretty much all here. If you want to just look into some of these pitcher stats last year from 2018, it's pretty much indicated by the price points on these guys. Patrick Corbin leads the way on this slate in terms of his strikeouts through 9. Ks through 9, he had a little bit over 11. 10.66 was Carlos Carrasco last year. And then there's just a couple of guys in that 3 range. Dylan Bundy was also a nice strikeout pitcher if that's somewhere you want to go. This New York team, tons of power, can easily score 10 runs on Bundy. He could easily be pulled in the second inning even if this game doesn't get impacted by weather, which I doubt. But he can also, if you're trying to save money somewhere at $6,500, look, you don't want to pitch against the Yankees ever. I'm not recommending this at all, but he has the upside to get 10 Ks through 9. J.A. Happ, same thing, but that game overall just concerns me. So, some other things to just point out in terms of why Carrasco is priced where he is. If people are just trying to wonder, I think it's worth paying up for him if you can get him and Jon Gray. Even in a tournament, if you can get up there, find a lower cost, lower dollar stack, it makes a lot of sense. Carlos Carrasco, a guy who's going to strike out a lot of guys. It's as simple as that. He's going up against Minnesota, where there's a handful of batters on that team that will strike out 25+% of the time. His walk rate, best on the entire slate. Not only is his strikeout, so look at this, just Carrasco. Look across towards this abbreviated pitcher stats right here. I can just reduce it a little bit so everybody can see. 2018 led the way in a lot of things on this slate. Strikeouts, his walks were the lowest, only 1.88 through 9. His walks to strikeout ratio is by far the best, we could tell, since he was the best at each of those, 5.67. That is a very good strikeout to walk ratio. That means that his control is there, which is something that you want out of your starting pitcher. Look, the price point indicates it. I think Carrasco is the second best pitcher on this entire slate, and when you factor in price, I think John Gray, for right now, for me, would be my favorite option. In terms of the lower value guys, I haven't looked much into them. I can't give an honest opinion or any type of analysis because I haven't looked much into them, mainly because of the NBA. Some of the things like that. So there's a ton of stats on this sheet. If you want it, it's on Patreon. Feel free to take a screenshot of it right now. I'm going to try to make these videos as often as I can. I'll take any questions that you guys have and girls have, so drop them in. I'm looking at my phone right now that has the comment feed. Drop them in. This video will be archived if you want to go back. What I'm trying to do here is give you a high-level look at the slate. In the NBA, I do that. I give you a high-level look at the matchups, things like that, but then I break down into some of my interests in terms of players. MLB is a little different because my interests are usually stacks. I should go deeper into the players. I just can't right now, just to be as bluntly as possible. I don't have the time to break down into the MLB the same way I break down into the NBA. And as of right now, I just want to stick to the NBA until the end of the season with the in-depth analysis. So check out that video. It's already out today. There's 25 of you in here, so what's going on? Happy Sunday. It is 9:22 a.m. I've been up since 5 doing this stuff. But now we're all done. So if you guys have any questions, drop them now. I'm going to float here for a couple of minutes. So I'll be watching the comment thing. Drop them about NBA, about MLB, about anything in general, life, favorite cereal, whatever you got to do. Drop them because I'll be in here. So I also want to see, yeah. So just drop them. I will be good to answer. Let's go over and look at the, whoa. Just want to look at this slate in terms of hitters. Yeah, I mean, you're always going to have Aaron Judge and Stan just priced the exact same, so it's going to be hard to get to both of them. And you can see right here, just indicated by the weather. It's scary. We already talked about it. But if you want to go to the lobby, actually, because I'm interested in this, just to see how much right now the MLB, like it should be earlier in the year, and it probably will hold up, which for me is a little bit sad, but the NBA is coming to a close and people are playing less because the MLB is here and the NBA is becoming just an absolute crapshoot. Like here, we could look at the NBA's just lobby right now in the 4-game slate. So it's also a terrible slate. It's a Sunday, so there's usually lower prizes. $25K, and you got to pay a buy-in of $222. That's rough. Outside of that, okay, they added a $50K. Okay, we're good. We are good. Last night they didn't have a $50K, so I was going to say this is pretty rough. You get a 20% min cash, 1.8x. All right, so the $50K for the NBA is fine. MLB, though, I mean, you're going to notice it. It's great. They have a night slate today, probably, right? 5 games, 3 games, yeah, so not great. So the 9 games where you want to be. Do you prefer a 5-3 stack or a 4-3-1? Says T Fish. Yeah, good question. So for those of you that don't know, if you're not totally into stacking, 5-3, 5 players from one team, 3 players from another team, does not have to be in the same game. Probably usually isn't in the same game. Indifferent to it if it is, but there should be good reason. There's no correlation, or you could argue that there's some correlation between stacking the same game if they just get to the bullpen and then it's a big lead and they don't really care and they give their starter some right, whatever it might be. Yeah. So 5-3 or 4-3-1. I personally like both. Like I can't prefer one there. I think that they're both used just as often. I think 5-3s are used way more. So 5-3s and 4-4 stacks are used way more than any other one. So when you look at tournaments being won, they're going to become more prevalent just because the sample has more of those stacks in it by far. I personally like 4-3-1s. I like being a little bit different there, one, and I like the fact that you can get your one-off guy. So if there's somebody in a great matchup, if you do want to get a Mike Trout or somebody like that, but not take their awful surrounding pieces in a stack, that's a way to do it. You can get the one-off and still feel confident. I think 4-3-1s I personally like because of that. I think that 5-3s are just absolutely fine. They're just as fine. I think you'll be a little bit different with a 4-3-1, but I think 5-3s are absolutely fine. That's a good question, though. Yeah, any other questions, just bring them up. Yeah, as you can see, the MLB prize pools today. I have this filtered for everything. You have a 100K prize pool. So, I mean, they're not the biggest, but the fact that you have 100K, a 50K, a 25K, and then still a 10 and a 30K are nice. I'm not sure if they'll add any more. I'm happy that the NBA added a 50K today. That's nice. That wasn't there earlier, $15 buy-in. I mean, the formats on these are just absolutely brutal. Today's isn't awful, actually. 22.65% cash. Rather have it closer to 25, but we'll take it. This one I'm interested in, the 222, only 500 seats. Yeah, the buy-ins are smaller. FanDuel or DK better for baseball, says Jake Slick. I've never really played on FanDuel baseball. I don't really play on FanDuel in general, so I can't really speak on it. I know the scoring is different over there. I know that stacks are more prevalent or more useful, I believe, on FanDuel. I don't know the scoring. That's just what I've heard and read. I don't really play FanDuel, so I can't really speak on it. I just like DraftKings in general. Late swap makes a big difference for me personally. Jake says he quit NBA until playoffs. Yeah, I think that's fine. I mean, with the MLB back, if you're somebody who knows MLB and wants to play it, the prize pools are there. There's more people in the MLB right now that are bad players, especially in cash, low stakes cash, where the sharper professionals can't play below $5. That, yeah, it makes sense to go there. There's going to be for 2 weeks to 4 weeks people that suck at the MLB that are just trying it out, probably like myself. No, I'm just kidding, but really, that are going to be in there, and you can take advantage of that. In the NBA right now, people are filing out, and it's left to be a much more competitive space because the people that are staying are the people that know how to win money there. So yeah, it makes sense to leave it. Also, leaving it because rotations are getting wacky is fine. We have not seen that much of a wackiness out of rotations outside of the Bulls, whose whole team is just injured, but I'm sure we will see it soon. There's still teams fighting for playoff spots, yada, yada, yada. And yeah, it makes sense till the playoffs come. The playoffs are just smaller slates, which stinks. You'll get 4-game slates, which are awful, and that'll really be it. Me too, but MLB is hard right now. Yeah, MLB is hard at the beginning of the year because you have no data to go off of. After a month or two and into the summer, you'll have data. You'll know where pitchers stand, and they don't really regress too much like in the NBA when they will. They won't have ceiling games all that often. If it's a bad pitcher, they're probably not going to go throw 8 innings all that often, if at all. But we don't know where players stand yet. Have pitchers improved? There are newer pitchers in terms of batters changing teams, how that impacts the entire team, how that impacts them in a new stadium. These are all things that we have to wait and see. Early in the year, I think it just makes a lot of sense to just play good players and play good stacks based on Vegas odds. Vegas right now is putting a lot more time into their analysis because their lives depend on it than me and you are. So I just rely on the lines. I rely on the good players, get the stacks in there, find the good pitchers in terms of last year, and that's all that you could really do early in their year. That's a lot more than most people in this sport are doing. They're typically doing late swap on MLB for FanDuel, at least to start the season. Okay, yeah, so I didn't know that. So that makes it a lot better. I know the scoring is different. In terms of where to play, I really can't comment on it. I just play on DK. I've only ever played on DK for MLB, and I play 99% of the time on DK for NBA, which I really shouldn't. I should be playing more FanDuel because, especially when I do like to play cash often, I can just get more action down. You can only play $51 head-to-heads, $52 head-to-heads, or 50-50s total, so like 50 each. So I can do that also on FanDuel. Why not do that? Max out some of the smaller contests. I should be doing that. I should have bankrolls over there too. Just for me, if I wasn't making content and had that extra hour or two to analyze FanDuel's salaries and make lineups there, I'd do it all day. I could enter in lineups on FanDuel within an hour and feel okay about them, but not as good as I would if I had that extra hour if I wasn't just making videos about DraftKings. And DraftKings is by far, in a way, at least in my opinion, the better site, just all functionality. There's some things that suck on DraftKings functionality-wise, but it's just, in my opinion, just by far and away better. Especially their mobile app, it's phenomenal. FanDuel has late swap for MLB. Oh, it makes no sense, but they do. Yeah, I didn't know that because they don't for anything else, so. Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know they had it for MLB. FanDuel has late swap for every sport except basketball. Yeah, I knew they didn't for basketball. They're trying their drop scores instead, which is fun. Like I'm fine with the drop scores. It adds a much different element to how you should be playing on FanDuel. 30 people in here. What is up? What is going on, everybody? I imagine everybody will be going over soon to Awesomo's live before lock, whenever they do that at 11:30 or so. So I guess 2 hours, so not that soon. But yeah, early crowd. We got 30 people in here on the early crowd. Yeah, just trying to pound out these videos. Like I said, the MLB ones until the end of the NBA season will be much more high-level focused on the entire slate, whereas team stack stand, weather, totals, things like that. Things that you guys might be able to figure out on your own, but I'll just condense them into 10-minute videos. Right now I'm just answering questions, so it's a little longer. But yeah, the MLB I can't go as in-depth with as a one-person show just yet while the NBA is still here. The NBA is getting more of my attention just because that's where my own personal interests are. And that's what I want to do personally. I'm focusing more on NBA for my actual play on DFS, so that's where the videos will be as well. Any other questions? If not, I'm about to pack up. I'm about to go home, drink more coffee, eat some eggs. You know, the works. Go to Trader Joe's. You know, heaven. Yeah. Any other questions? I'll give you guys like 2 minutes to drop them in. Otherwise, I'm going to get ready for this day. Sunday. Good day for baseball. Good day for these smaller basketball slates since they're on all day if you just like watching basketball. But that's it. Like the video before you go. Subscribe if you haven't already. Drop me any questions, if not now, in the Discord, on Twitter, whatever you need to do. I'm always there. I'm usually attached to my phone, not on my phone. All right. Peace out. That's it. No questions. We're good. Love the content, bro. Keep it coming. Peace. See you, Jake. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate that. I appreciate it a lot. Yeah, I guess I should actually touch on that before I go. If you're watching this live now or you're going to be watching it. In terms of the content, yeah, it will be NBA primarily focused till the end of the season. We'll also have NBA content throughout the playoffs. I will be playing, so I will have the content. We'll go further into the MLB then as well. I'm going to be playing WNBA. I don't know about anybody else. It is a very profitable sport. It is an extremely profitable sport if you know what you're doing. I'm sure the content will get 5 views on that, but we'll try it out for a little while. And then obviously the NFL comes around. Right now I will have a helper, Chris Pinelli. Not positive. He makes NASCAR videos. Or just not a helper, just somebody to assist me. He makes NASCAR videos for DFS. You can go check them out. And he also makes MLB videos. So he's going to help me once or twice a week with just making some of the videos for the MLB while the NBA closes up. I'll be checking back with you. A lot more knowledge than a lot of these guys putting out videos. I appreciate that, Christopher Reese. Here's the thing. Any single person making content, as long as they're like respectful and they're not making content to just put down people, any single person making content, I respect because I know the grind. Whether you're making a 5-minute video on your cell phone, you still have to edit that thing, you still have to upload it, you still have to put your SEO-based things in. Whether you're putting a lot of effort in or not, it takes time out of your day. And usually you're not getting paid a lot for it or at all. You're doing it because you enjoy it, and maybe one day someone will notice that you're enjoying it and doing it and say, here you go, here is some work for you to do and make money off of. So that is that. So I will never diss anybody in terms of their ability to make content. I just think that there's a lot of things in the DFS space that are screenshot oriented. Look at this. I put in $1,500. I won $500, but it just says I won $500, so I'm a good DFS player. Listen to my videos. Or here's my 5 picks for the day. Go and try them. And if you track those 5 picks every single day, they most likely aren't a winning player on the entire season, or they'll give you the 5 most obvious high up price plays. I think that making content, if you're going to take the time out of your day to make it, put the extra time in and just make it good. Because it's, one, not going to lead you anywhere if you're not making good content. Nobody's going to notice you. Nobody's going to think you're different. If you're taking the time, people notice that. It might not be for a day. It might not be for a month. It might not be for a year or two. But somebody will notice it if you keep it up. So that's just where I stand on that. So I appreciate the comment, Chris. Thank you. But yeah, that's just what we're helping. We're going to get some assistance for the MLB, looking into the website or potential website just to house the projections instead of on Patreon. But yeah, that's it. Those are the updates. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you girls. We are going to be out. Enjoy your Sunday afternoons. Lay out on the beach if you're somewhere where it's warm. If you're somewhere where it's cold, like me, and it's 40 degrees, lay out inside and cuddle up with a blanket and some coffee and watch some baseball and basketball. My name's Sal. You already know that. Peace out, gang.